Hi everyone, thank you for joining the webinar organized by Tatwik on this beautiful sunny day here in Ahmedabad in India and in Germany. The topic of our webinar today is how to use Google Analytics to drive search engine optimization benefit. And for today's webinar, we have a fantastic guest in front of all of you, and he'll start speaking soon. So let me take this moment to introduce you to Alexander Holl. Alexander is founder and CEO at 121 Watch, and he's based out of Germany, and he is expert in SEO and Google Analytics, and he's a professional trainer for Google Analytics and search engine optimization as well. You have myself, Ravi Pathak, and I'm your host for today, and I'm founder at Tatwik, and there are Twitter handles that are available for both of us. If you have a question, please feel free to tweet us, and we'll be more than happy to answer the questions, even via tweet or during the presentation. All right, without further ado, and talking about any of Alexander's capability, I would get Alexander to drive this. Alexander, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Actually, it's not sunny over here. It's pretty stormy in Germany.
I'm sorry.
It's not your fault. It's just happening over here. Huh?
All right.
So welcome from Germany, and thanks, Ravi, for the invitation to speak now internationally a little bit about analytics and SEO. And so very quickly to, like Ravi was so kind to introduce me, very quickly just to add on this. So I have a pretty long history on internet, and I was working for Yahoo and Alta Vista in the really early times, and so we're running today a seminar business, and you realize that we didn't have really an international expansion strategy, because 121 watts really sounds not very nicely in English. Huh? So really my focus is on SEO, on AdWords and Google Analytics. And so in this sense, when looking on SEO, most of the SEOs, they were usually looking on a lot of different tools and using tools like maybe advanced web ranking or search metrics or Sistrix in order to answer all interesting questions like what are my rankings and how good am I doing in terms of links. And however, I think Google Analytics is really a tremendous good tool for all the SEOs to look now on today's SEO challenges, like the big questions which we have out there is for instance, is Panda. When it first rolled out in February 2011, we were just wondering how important user signals are now becoming for Google. And a perfect place for measuring user signals is Google Analytics. Or in terms of reporting, we're asking how much organic traffic do we have, or how many valuable links we're getting from other sources, and how good is our content. All these kind of questions. I think overall the whole topic of search engine optimization is going to search experience optimization, and I think analytics is the perfect tool. So this lays out a little bit of the basis I would like to show today. It will be a quick jump over a lot of different things in analytics. So I'd like to talk a little bit about organic search sources to really attribute them correctly, about detecting spam, referrals, which is currently a bigger problem, and bots as well. To talk a little bit about missing link opportunities, and which I described by four reports for detecting lost link opportunities. And I would like to end today's presentation on reporting and analyzing the Panda. If we start a little bit about talking the organic sources. So when when looking today on what you're getting in analytics, Google is doing a super good job in detecting organic search sources. However, they don't know a search engine on a worldwide basis. So for instance, over here we have areas which are called, for instance, T-Online or WebDE, and a couple of others. And in order, when you really want to do good reporting, you need good data quality. So one of the things I would like to go over today is what if most of the sources are attributed correctly, but some are not. And you see over here, there's where you go on a report which is called acquisition, and then you go on source medium, and you take a filter and look for things like search or DuckDuckGo or Ecosia, and maybe some typical of your search engine. You will realize that Google is not able to detect all the correct search engines, but they sometimes put search engines under the medium referral. And I just lay out over here, like you see, search and DuckDuckGo and this to see there are some issues out there. And this would be the first advice to look on this. Secondly, if you manage this, then to try to guess how big is the problem on your site. Sometimes it's a bigger problem, but sometimes it's a smaller. With us, it was about 2-3% of all traffic was going wrongly into referral. And what you then would do, once you detected some of the search engines, like over here, T-Online, Ecosia, you would go in the Universal Analytics admin panel, under admin, property, under tracking info, and you would add all the search engines which are wrongly attributed. However, what is important is that you enter a query parameter, and how you detect this, you're just going onto a search engine, and you perform a search and you see whether the parameter is, for instance, is Q, sometimes it could be P, and you're just entering this. The important thing is, when you do this, I made an example over here on this slide. The changes are not retrospectively, but they're happening just in the moment when you're doing them. So if you're going to change this tomorrow, your data will be cleaned up by today. It's not retrospectively. So first thing is, as I said, is to do this properly, to have good data, and to have all the organic sources coming into one slot and not into referral and organic. The second thing, I think there's a lot of writing up to now out there about referrals and spam referrals. And so mainly in the beginning, they're coming from interesting pages like Daruda or I Love Italy or buttons for website, sometimes HuffPost I had over here, Make Money Online, and all these stupid things. The stupid thing about this is really, once again, is corrupting your data quality. And so first of all, what you would do, you would just go under your acquisition report. You take, once again, source medium. And I included over here on the presentation a couple of examples which you could put in and see, once again, how big is the issue. Once you detected this and you see, well, I have an issue, we have some of these spam refers, like you see over here, Seemalt and I Love Italy. In the second instance, you would create a filter to exclude all these referral spam. Please note just what is important. Whenever you see something on the internet and they say, oh, well, see over here you can exclude this, and this is the filter pattern, please always use a test filter, just to be sure, because you know on the view level you're always changing the data, and you can't correct this. Afterwards, you have always for the time being, you have a changed data. So always first even if it's from my side over here, please test this. Right, and so as I said, we realized there's a lot of spam now coming into like Daruda and Econom and I Love Italy and Buttons for Website. And in the presentation, I have now a little regular expression which you could use as a filter. But as I said, very important to always test this either in your report, for instance, on the referral report to say, okay, do we have them? And once you create a filter, test them first in a test environment, in a test data view. Once you see it's working, then you transfer it to your master view. So I think that's one of the things which are corrupting in the moment data quality. The second, if we go now to slide 16, it's not only about detecting spam referrals, but sometimes Google is not able to detect all bot traffic. And of course, we don't want to measure bot traffic because we want to measure real users. And now on a view level, we have the possibility to exclude all spiders which are known by Google. There's an official list, the IAB bot spidering list, which is maintained, as I wrote over here, since 2006. Still, it always happens that you still get bot traffic on your page. And so on slide 17, you see, when we go on the next slide, we'll see that, for instance, Jeff Sauer wrote an article about this where you could use a segment to detect first whether you have an issue with bot traffic or not. Once, which I described on the next slide, once you're detecting if you have an issue or not, you would once again create a filter on a test view to exclude all these stupid bot traffic, which could be, for instance, like coming from Amazon or from CNET, all things where you say, no, I don't really want to have this traffic on my page. However, the issue about this is it's constantly coming up with new bot traffic, and therefore I created on the next page, Ravi, you could skip to the next page.
Sure.
Is something which I created for us. So I created it under customization, a user-defined report, and so the idea was how to constantly detect this bot traffic. So I was using over here as a dimension the service provider, and as on the second dimension to have this hierarchical, the country, and on filtering to say, well, typically most of the bots are coming directly on your website because a bot typically has a long URL list, and so one of their typical patterns is that they come direct onto your page. And maybe this is now typical for us, but what we were saying, well, of course we have people coming, for instance, on our website, which are coming directly on our website. However, most of the bots are not coming, in our case, from Germany, Austria, Switzerland. So we said, please exclude when the country is Germany or Austria or Switzerland. Secondly, once we have defined this report, we then would run the report and add an additional filter. Because typically, once again, what these bots are doing, so they're not only coming directly on your website, but typically what they're doing, they're always creating new sessions because you can't give a cookie to a bot. So they are mostly having 100% new sessions, and of course they are not doing any goal. So the idea is really about this report to additionally filter by new sessions greater than 99%. The goal value is 0, which means all new visitors which are not creating any value. And then you could, which Google Analytics allows, send this report, for instance, once a week or even once a day to you to be always informed if there are potentially new bots on your web page. And of course, then you would go back to the filter and extend the filter. So this, this was, let's say, 3 possibilities to improve data quality. So it's really about detecting referral spam, detecting bot traffic, and then, of course, organizing correctly organic and referral, so to have the proper search engines with a proper medium. When we go on the next slide.
Sure. So I had a question as I was seeing this, Alexander. This is Ravi, by the way.
Yeah.
I wanted to understand, is it okay if we do not have this additional mention of country? I mean, I understand it's a valuable, but is that really mandatory thing, or what's your opinion on that?
No, but it's not mandatory. However, you mean as a drill down or as an exclusion?
As an exclusion.
Okay. Yes. I think you could as well say I leave this report without the exclusion. It would help you maybe a little bit quicker to find these bot traffic, because it could well be over here that you find some relevant German ISP service providers which are fine. But I agree with you to maybe even more precise, that you maybe look through all the potential bot traffic which is coming in, because this new session above 99% is always a strange issue where you say, well, something is going wrong over here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. I think the logic is fantastic of goal value being 0 and new sessions being right, because that's exactly what bot traffic exhibits, or they sort of open up in terms of their information in GA. So I think that's fantastic information. All right. Yeah. I will move to the next slide from here to explain what you want to talk about next in terms of 404 reports.
Mm-hmm. So, thanks, Ari. So, basically, very simply, when SEOs talk about 404s, they usually think about 301. Yeah? Which, if we go on the next slide, which really is the background, is broken links are just happening on all websites. Especially the bigger your website is, the more issue you're having around this. Huh? And this could be for various reasons. But one of the reasons could be that a valuable link is pointing to your website, but for any given reasons, the website says, well, I don't have the requested resource, so he's giving back a 404. And there could be then 2 solutions that you say, once I detect this, I would do a forward of this link, so I do a 301 redirect, or I would ask the source where I'm getting the link from, can you please correct this? So this means for an SEO, once you have a very good link and it's pointing, or it's producing a 404 page, means that you lost a very good link, which is, and we all know how important links are still for Google. We have to be careful because this is all changing a little bit, but still a good link is of big value. And so the question was really about how analytics could help on this. And if we go on the next slide to see first the minimum requirements. If we go now 22.
Sure, all right there.
So first of all, maybe it sounds simple, but it's good if you have an error page. It would be even better actually if you have a well-designed error page, because in a perfect world, when people are coming on a 404 page, they would then say, "Oh, I'm wrong over here, and I'm going now to the home page, to the start page." No? And even better, I thought this sometimes, you have a clear pattern in your page title, like page not found or 404, because if this is the case, then you can detect this with Google Analytics. And the optimal world would be that you have all the three above and you have implemented the Google Analytics tracking code, which actually is, from what I know, is in 80 or 90% of all cases they're having as well a Google Analytics tracking code on a 404 page. However, sometimes it happens just that there's no Google Analytics tracking code, and so then you can't track it. And so this would be fundamentally the requirements first. Secondly, when you have all this, once again, go under customization and create, oh, it was perfectly, page number 23.
Oh, okay, sorry about it.
Yeah, no problem. You would create a report, and so on a metric level you would say, well, I would love to know how many sessions I have on this 404 page. If it's 0, then it's perfect, then you don't have a big issue. If it's maybe 10,000 a day, then you have a real big issue. Secondly, a very interesting metric could be the bounce rate, because once again, in a perfect world, you have a 0 bounce rate on your 404 page because it's an error and you're just trying to direct them later to your start page or to any other interesting category page. On the dimension level, because what you would love to know would be, for instance, actually, where are these wrong requests coming from? So are they coming maybe from Google, or are they coming from any referral page? Or maybe they're coming as well, what you could detect over here, from the email marketing campaign or Facebook ads. Could, of course, will happen. If we look now on, however, on the SEO perspective, we would not only be interested what is the source, but you could over here add on the layer down the full referral. Because once you detect this, then you not only see, this coming from a blog over here, but you're really detecting the page, the exact page where it's coming from. And then you could, on a later stage, then maybe call this guy to say, hey, on this page you're linking to my page, but there is a mistake. And you see over here you have the filter, because you need to include the page title, for instance, page not found. So process-wise, what you would do, you would go on your domain. You create an error page by just typing something stupid in, and then you see on the title, on the page title, whether there's page not found or 404. This is the pattern you have to look up. And this would be very easily, this is your SEO report for detecting missed link opportunities. And maybe as a little bonus, you could create an intelligence event, or these radar events in analytics, because fundamentally 404 pages is always not nice to have. And you see over here, the filter is, it's on a daily basis. It's when the page title contains page not found and increases by more than, for instance, 10 compared to the previous day. And then we would just immediately know, oh, we have an issue on our page, just as a little bonus to use these intelligence events which we have now in analytics. When we maybe take the last step, which I think is one of, let's say, the most important parts now in the moment of analyzing or using Google Analytics for SEO purposes, is when we go maybe on the next slide, Ravi.
Sure.
Is really about how could analytics help on identifying potential, I have to be careful, potential Panda issues. And maybe to give a little recap on Panda, Panda was an update on the Google algorithm, first in February 2011 in US, and then internationally it was rolled out on 12th of August. And the real purpose of Panda was detecting thin content pages, really with weak content, and where Google just puts weak content on top positions. And so one of the things we all realized when Panda was rolled out, that most of the domains which were hit by Panda were usually showing very bad user signals. And if we now look on a little example, so if we go now 26, I just took out one domain now over here from Germany, and I used a tool which is called SimilarWeb to look on this and say, it's a tool, it's equal to Yahoo Answers, and they had about 88% of search traffic. And when looking on SimilarWeb, next slide, maybe, we realized, oh wow, they had nearly 84% of bounce rate. And on 28, on the next slide, you see the time on site was really, really bad. And on the next slide, you see the page views were just 1.37 per session. And maybe just as a little quiz, which we have on the next slide, was perfectly when we go on 13. So the portal I meant to called Wer weiß was. It is very comparable to things like Yahoo Answers, as I said. And we used a tool in order to analyze to have an analysis on this, which is called Search Metrics, which is an SEO tool, and which is measuring visibility. And you're having the right answer. Really, they lost about 82% of all their visibility, which means probably they lost around 40 to 50% of search traffic. You can see this on the next slide. On slide number 31. This is now taking out from Search Metrics, and you see they had a visibility over here, that's German now, on 400,000 points, and they just decreased to somewhere around 60,000 or even less. So big impact, and the interesting was a lot of search volume and very, very bad user signals. And if we go now on page 33, I was really, you see now some figures in terms of bounce rate from my website, from our website. So when looking on this, I said, oh my God. So my website is really the next Panda victim, because when people are coming through Google, so for instance, we are running SEO seminars and analytics seminars, well, we have well above 70% bounce rate. So really, are we next Panda victim? If we go now on 34, so really the question was about our own website, are we next Panda victim? And so when looking maybe on a more detailed report, looking on, so what are our main landing pages? We have a seminar which is called Mobile Marketing, so we have 93% of bounce rate. So really we'll not have a ranking. This would be the logic. We'll not have a ranking if it stays like this, because from a perspective of user signals, this seems to be very bad, and this is exactly what Panda did. However, if we go on next slide on 35, the question would be, yeah, well, bounce rate, is this really a good indicator? As now when I look on a very simple but definition which is taken out from the official Google Analytics support page, the bounce rate, the percentage of single page sessions. Well, very easily, that's now a definition which is given by analytics to say, well, this is bounce rate. So if you have maybe 75% bounce rate, you have 75% of single page sessions. However, we know that there's a more precise definition. But still, if we leave it with this, bounce rate then is difficult because you don't know exactly how long are people really staying on your web page. Are they really immediately bouncing back, for instance, to Google, or are they maybe very, very happy with your web page? So when digging a little bit more into bounce rate, then you see, well, bounce rate is depending on a lot of different factors. So for instance, of course, it's the traffic source. If traffic source is fitting with your landing page, then you potentially have a lower bounce rate than if traffic source and your landing page are not in a good fit. But it could be as well due to your page concept. So when you have a page concept which is, you have more this concept of single landing pages where most of the information is on one page, analytics has a problem because they just measuring the percentage of single page sessions. But if all the information is on one page, then clearly you will have, by definition, high bounce rates. On the other side, if you have a page concept where you say, well, there's a headline, there's text, and there's maybe 4 or 5 sentences, and then you say, well, click over here, and then you have the same headline text, click over here. By definition, you just would have a very or a bounce rate which is smaller. But what, as I put over here on this slide, what if you knew how many of your visits are really engaging with your websites and how many people are really bouncing? And so what you need in order to have this kind of information, you have to extend a little bit your tracking, which means you have to leverage a functionality within Google Analytics which is called event tracking. And I would now later show how you implement this, but first of all I would like just to describe what this does. So event tracking is used for a lot of different purposes, like when you have a download of a PDF, you use usually event tracking to measure this. Or if you're linking outside to other websites and you want to know how many clicks are leaving my websites on this special link, you could use event tracking. But you could do much more with it because, for instance, and this is the idea over here, you see a scribble of our page. What if we were to send an event after a given time, for instance over here 75 seconds, and then you could say, well, once I send this event, I know that people are still on my means everybody when I send this event, everybody who's still there would be defined as a no bouncer, whereas all the people who were leaving before, you could then say, well, these are maybe the real bouncer. What we did in order, because you could say, well, why don't use 45 or 60 seconds, we just very simply did a test on all our pages and said, what do we expect somebody who's coming on our stay over here at a minimal point to extract relevant information from our web page. The implementation option which we're having on 38, so if we go on 38 quickly, so there are two different possibilities to include this. The one example over here would be to have a line in your tracking code. You see now the Universal Analytics tracking code to for instance, send a timeout event. You see this over here, set timeout. Google Analytics, please send an event, and you call this in the category no bounds, and it's after 35 seconds in this example. And these 35,000 you see over here is just that Analytics needs this in milliseconds. So this would mean you would send over here on all the web pages on this domain an event after 35 seconds. This would be one possibility to define this. The second possibility on page number 39 would be in Google Tag Manager to, in the first step, to define a timer listener to say, well, dear Google, once you implemented Google Tag Manager, Google, please listen if there's a timer, so this timer listener, and if this is, then please send an event. You see over here now, once again, this event category. Please send this event into the event category no bounds, and the action would be then 75 seconds. And we choose in the moment over here to send this on all pages, to fire this rule on all pages. This is the second possibility. So the one possibility would be to include this in your tracking code, as shown before. The second possibility is to have this via the Google Tag Manager and to fire this event once these 75 seconds are exceeded. And on page number 40, now it's what you have then to do in order to get this goal in all your later reports would be to set up now for this event a goal. Because as I said, once you set this up as a goal, then you can use this goal in all the reports you have available in Analytics. So you see over here, that's a goal set up. It's the goal description means we define this as true. So we said, yeah, we're thinking everybody who is there after 75 seconds is a true reader. And we set the condition for this event to say this is now a goal. Completion is when in the category there is this defined no bounds. And we just skip back to the slide now 37. The result, I just gave you an example over here. You see now all our seminars, because that's where we are looking for in terms of content to say, so we have our seminars and they all described with an agenda. And we were, of course, curious to see when people are coming on our webpage, what is the goal conversion rate depending on our different seminars. And you see over here, so the best performing over here is a seminar which is called number 10, is the conversion optimization seminar, which is actually good. Actually good that this is the best performing team that the trainer over here was putting in a perfect agenda. And the first question over here would be, what could we learn from this content? Why is it so much better? At the same time, you see, for instance, a seminar which is social media seminar or the Google AdWords seminar, which is below the average. And at the same time, you could ask yourself, so why is it not performing like the other seminars? And very concretely, this means for us, we got to go back to our trainers and say, we think your agenda is not right. Now coming back to the Panda point, if you do this properly, Panda is an algorithm from Google. So in order to do this analysis properly, you need to segment Google organic traffic. You have a standard segment in Analytics, which is organic traffic, but to be really precise, you should then use this Holl and segment this by Google SEO. I call this now SEO organic traffic, but to be sure, it's only traffic which is coming now from the source Google and the medium organic. So when we're coming just to the end, if we go now to page number 41, and trying to have a little summary. I think just because my background is on SEO and AdWords, and we were not really leveraging a lot of Google Analytics possibilities, but I think it's one of the most important tools in the moment I'm using for all SEO purposes. The really most important tool is Google Webmaster Tools, but there's a perfect combination to have Google Webmaster Tools and Google Analytics. Google Webmaster Tools to mainly assess technical issues, and Analytics to mainly assess user engagement, user signals, and really measuring how satisfied are your users. And as I said, user signals are getting more and more important, so I think Google Analytics is very important. Secondly, as I said, is really about detecting these lost link opportunities. Links are still important, and by using analytics, you're detecting these missed links opportunities, especially these links who are driving traffic. So you're not measuring any link which is not driving traffic, but you only realize this once this link had some traffic. And I would very simply say that the link which is providing traffic is a good link. And the last point, in order to report as well properly on data, is really so important to have good data quality. And I just had over here 3 points to say, well, take care on referral spam because it's an issue. We hope that Google is getting better on this. But when I last week was doing some research, I think most of the Google Analytics guys were saying, well, please solve this, Google, but up to now there's no perfect solution, so we have to do this manually. The bot spam, as laid out, detecting this by using the source and the special pattern which usually bots have, new visitors well above 99% and no goal value. And that's maybe a minor point, but still over here in Germany we have around 2, 3, 4% of not correctly attributed search engines which are still going under referrals. And honestly, in Germany we have around 95% of Google traffic. Organic is Google, more or less. But this could well be different in other countries, and so I think that's important to have the proper sources in the proper medium. So this was basically my 45 minutes from Germany, and I'm of course now open for all the questions, and maybe Ravi has some questions. And I first thank you all for listening now from to us over here.
Sure, that's fantastic. You know, while you were presenting, I was texting my teammate who is an implementation team at our company, and I was trying to suggest that, okay, can we really reset our event tracking to get this real bounce rate being recalculated, because we were doing 30, 60, and 90 seconds, and you were suggesting it to be 75. So I think
it was just an idea. Yeah, so I think it's pretty fair. We tested this on our page, and I just was reading through and saying, well, how long does it take to have at least an understanding of the fundamental concept of what we want our readers to read?
Yeah, no, that's true. Okay, so I'll quickly skim through some of the questions that we've got, and one particular question really stuck my eye was specific to SEO and was specific to Google Analytics alerts. And and for a fact that I'm aware that alerts are not the most optimal functionality in Google Analytics. However, in order to make sure that SEO is in a good shape, or you know, whatever changes that happens, have you recommended, or would you recommend any specific sets of alerts that SEOs should use, which should be created in Google Analytics and get notified of if something happens?
So first of all, I think it's a very good question. First of all, I think Avinash Kaushik did once say, you're not a professional web analyst or Google analyst if you don't have 5 customer lists. I think you don't have to stick now to 5 or 7 or to 3. But I think fundamentally what he wanted to say it's not possible that you have a website and regardless of what is going to happen, you don't want to have an alert. So there must be something happening on your website which gets you out of bed on Sunday evening or late in Saturday night. In terms of alerts, we are using for SEO traffic or is mainly traffic. So we have alerts set up on when SEO or organic traffic is decreasing. I think that's very clear. Yeah, makes sense. If it's, for instance, decreases by 20% compared to last week, then you get a notification. But at the same time, we have the alert set to 20% above average. Because I think it's not always only good if you're working in a company to say, oh, once again getting down the traffic, but it's sometimes as well good if you can communicate to the whole team to say, oh, see, our traffic increased by 20%, and by the way, I just did a quick analysis, which you find over here, why this all happened. So I think in both terms it makes sense to set alerts when something goes under a certain threshold and above a certain threshold.
Yeah.
Additionally, the 404 I think is always a good thing to have.
Yeah. Even you know, I would just add up to the point. You can track form fields as an event, and I'm sure everyone knows about it. But we also set up an alert for form fields being less than an average, less than 20% of the average. Obviously, to understand if there is a breakage in the form field, there might be some validation errors in the form fields as well.
Yeah, right. So this may be not specific to SEO, but could be to the website overall. Yeah? I think overall we have around 20 alerts. The difficult piece about alerts is if they're going, if they're happening too often, that's not good because an alert should always alarm you. I think that's the idea fundamentally.
No, that's fantastic. That's true. Actually, you know, the more alerts actually creates or more alerts actually reduces the value of alerts themselves because they actually are falsifying or self-negating in general if they are not really value providing.
Yeah.
Excellent. Other question that I got, which sounds like a little more generic question, but I'll still you know, sort of mention.
I'm just looking over here, probably on the questions, and hello, can I use just skipping through?
Sure.
Okay, well, there's something. Do you have any advice how to deal with the keyword not provided?
Exactly.
Which is this would be perfect another seminar or webinar. Well, as you may know, since 18th of October 2000, Google is less and less displaying keyword data, and which in the past was always a very interesting piece of analysis. However, first of all, to do this on a broader perspective, I think when you're looking on keyword and keyword strategies, since Hummingbird, a lot of things change because we are losing more and more the keyword focus and really going on, let's say, an issue problem focus where we try by the keyword to understand what is the real issue of a user. So instead of analyzing keywords, I think it's now for us as SEOs more and more important to analyze the landing page itself. And there is no possibility, to my knowledge, where you can detect what's in these buckets of not provided. What I usually take, for instance, is I take the not provided and create a secondary dimension to see where the people are landed. Secondly, I use the Google Webmaster Tools and use the content, the content navigation to see first what is my relevant page, which is static, and which are the keywords which are leading to this traffic. Because if you just open the little tab, you see all the keywords which are coming to your website. The missing piece, of course, is the engagement of the user, which you can't see. That's the only possibility then to say, well, I have not provided, and I use the secondary dimension. There are some tools out there, like, for instance, from Germany, Switchmetrics, who are trying to statistically count by using Google Webmaster Tool data to calculate how much traffic you have from single keywords.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think I think it's important to know the proportion as well as the breakdown of not provided, and I think it's really valuable because the keyword or key phrase in itself is a very strong indicator and very strong information piece of the intent of consumer, and which obviously is taken away from all of us SEO, which is sort of a difficult situation to be in. So whatever ways we can obviously find, I think you have a great suggestion there to improvise upon. All right. Great. So there were a couple of other questions which were more of a contextual in nature, and I'll leave it up to I'll leave it up to myself and my teammates to answer via emails. In the interest to be starting and ending everything on time, it's very valuable that we sort of have to, we suggest to end this webinar. It was great pleasure, Alexander, to have you on the webinar, and it was very valuable to listen to some of the alerts and some of the recommendations that you have provided on detecting lost link, on creating user segments and understanding Panda. I am really hopeful that to the valued listeners of our webinar, it was helpful to them, and it was they take these as an action item. They go back to their office and implement these things, because that's the strongest indicator. Thank you so much, Alexander, once again, and I look forward to have more opportunities to have you present in our webinars.
Super. Thanks very much for having me, and greetings from over here from Germany to all of you.
Excellent. I have one last announcement. We have an upcoming webinar which I wanted to announce, is that we're talking about mobile apps analytics, and you will learn about campaign tracking with mobile apps, uninstallation tracking. Uninstallation is a very important pointer, because when you spend a lot of money to acquire mobile apps users, a lot of them uninstalled, and you would actually not come to know why any tool. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to be also working through a checklist where what are some of the things that you should know when you're implementing mobile app. And the next webinar we have upcoming on 26th of May, which is next month, obviously, is we're going to be talking about the measurement of effectiveness of print media advertising. So if you're doing a magazine ad, or if you're doing a newspaper advertisement, how do you identify what's the impact of that advertisement you have on the website traffic? If you want to learn, please go through the link that we have provided, and I'll be happy to share more contents on these webinars. We'll continue to share more blog posts around this webinar. So I look forward to have you all up there in the next webinars, and thank you so much for listening to us. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.